So do you ever wonder why it's called shaken?
Everybody I would assume goes off of James Bond, the shaken not stirred, but
So half right, but the way we got there was that stir, which you've heard of, existed, right? It's
okay.
IETF protocol that was already existed. But at that time, stir was really aimed at individual. The idea was that every individual user would get their own certificates and they would install the software on their phone and they would create the digital signatures for their phone, right?
Okay.
So your mother or your grandmother is going to get her own certificate and manage it and keep track of it and update it and blah 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 blah. Yeah,
Sure.
like sure,
Sure.
that's
Yeah.
that's going to happen sometime soon. And when we looked at it, we said, okay, sorry guys, but that's a science project, right?
Right.
What we're going to do is we're going to take advantage of the fact you have these things called service providers or carriers, right? And they kind of know how to do that sort of stuff. So we're going to
Okay.
build something that leverages that.
Right.
And then, okay, so it's not like ignore that. We're going to do something completely different. And so we said, well, okay, what do we call it? And sure enough, that's when it said, well, we need to call it shaken.
Yeah.
And so basically, I said we literally went away and reverse engineered it. We tortured the English language until it gave us the acronym we wanted. And if you look at Shaken, the acronym, you can pretty quickly see that that's the case.
Right.
But the final thing I'll give you, and again, you can cut this all out, but the final thing I'll give you is that at that point in time, they were going to be completely separate, and nobody would have got the joke. It would have been a bunch of geeks in the room in Denver who came up with this joke. But Chris Wendt and John Peterson, so John Peterson's the father of Stir, were actually outside the FCC at a work on the sidewalk, and they started talking, and they said, we could actually merge these things. And we could take Stir, which is this protocol that can be used a whole bunch of ways, including grandma putting a certificate in her individual phone. But we could also take it and create a version of it where it wasn't grandma with the certificate in her phone. It was a service provider with the certificates in their network attesting to things on behalf of the consumer. And so then Shaken would essentially become a profile of Stir. And once we reached agreement on that, then instead of Stir over here and Shaken over here and only a few geeks connected them, it became Stir Shaken and everybody got